Running a little late. This is O&M only right now, so just so we'll try to speed through the O&M. I'm calling the committee to order. Motion to approve the minutes. Ms. Wood. Somebody else here? Mr. Mayor, I guess you can approve them. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
On the action agenda, I'm gonna move right along to Jeff.
Okay, on page 1 is a request to reimburse the Village of Lake George for property maintenance and other expenses, and you'll see, got multiple pages of various expenses, material and labor.
Oh, well, that's fine. Ms. Frazier's not here either.
Right, that's one out.
That's my request.
What's your request? I'm sorry, I was, trying to figure out who was here, Ms. Frazier. You'll make that motion? Mr. Mayor, you wanna second that? Because,
Second.
we have two, board members not here, so I'm just,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
we can handle it.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, we got you covered.
Do I vote yes? Motion to approve it?
I'll let you guys take care of that.
Aye.
All in favor, aye. Against it, moved. Trying to move this along here.
Okay, on page 9 is a request to amend the budget to receive some, insurance recoveries. We had another lamp post taken out at the, festival space. So this is just to receive those monies so that we can expend them on a new lamp.
All right, Ms. Wood? Mr. Mayor?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
I don't have any updates on the referral items, unless the mayor has anything on the stage, discussions on, developing a stage.
At the last, meeting, I was authorized to, file the application. I have done that with, Senator Little's office and, filed some amendments. So our application, for a grant, is in. I've also got a set of, specifications from two, temporary stage companies, and at such a time we're advised that our grant has been successful, then we can move forward. I don't think we wanna move forward now till we find out, about the grant.
All right.
Okay, and on the, second item, I don't have any update on the Wi-Fi costs. We do have a number of, items for discussion, so we can turn that right over to the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, you wanna discuss your, easements?
I just talked to Brian, that was, I don't know, Brian, if you wanna talk about that, it's on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I defer to, Mary Cassane? She's been working specifically on those issues. She's got much better information.
I actually have the easement here, I don't know if we can get a copy of it. So back in 2008, the Village of Lake George, the Town of Lake George, and the county, signed a conservation easement, for part of the Charles Wood Park. And basically, section 32D said that they signed it with, the Fund for Lake George Inc., the Lake George Association, and the Lake George Land Conservancy, and just for simplicity, we're gonna call them the 3 E's. And under section 32D, page, 6, if the 3 E's didn't finish the park project within 15 years or substantially finish it, the village, town, and county could terminate this easement. So we got a letter essentially saying that the park was substantially finished, and they're just asking that the county and the village of Lake George terminate their right to terminate the easement. That makes sense.
You know, Walt's here, I don't see any reason why we can't approve it. It's substantially completed, for sure.
Walt, you wanna make any comment on it?
This is actually part of a longer process to release some controls that the state placed over a loan that the 3Es took out to buy our part of the property. So as we pay off that loan, there's a requirement that clause in the conservation easement now be essentially, it's addressed, it's done, it's completed, and there's an acknowledgement from the county and from the village that part is done.
So the loan got paid off
The
then?
loan is now paid off, and
All right.
now releases the, essentially the control over that part of the conservation easement.
And all the maintenance and everything that's now gonna go on goes back to the village and the county?
Nothing else changes.
Nothing else
except
changes.
that one clause, because the project is essentially done.
You all right with that, Mr.
I
Mayor?
guess I would make a motion that, this committee authorize, the chairman to sign the release, and I'll bring it up to my board at our next meeting as well.
Okay, and we'll know your answer then before our full board meeting.
Yes,
We'll head on
you
it.
would, yeah.
I got a second on Ms. Wood? All right, any other questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it passed, so you have that done. Bronze plaque?
So I've received confirmation, from the governor's office that, the Secretary of State, Rosanna Rosado, will be available to, come to our grand opening celebration, perhaps October 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I'm waiting for confirmation on one of those particular dates, along with the, commissioner from, DOT. Those two, state agencies played a large part in the funding for our, what we need to do is, obviously, put some type of a plaque of recognition at the, park, so that, as we do all over, so that it's there. And I'd like, just like authorization to proceed to have a plaque design to be put perhaps on the pillars at the entranceway to the festival space, recognizing the state's involvement, the counties, the village, obviously, and town, so that hopefully it might be in place by the time we have the grant, we have a grant sign that needs to be put up as well, but we haven't got authorization yet from DOS to do that. But we need to have those items in place. So I would just like to go ahead and get some quotes on a bronze plaque that'll be permanent on the site. We need to decide who's gonna be on it and so forth.
I have no problem with that, Ms. Wood, no problem. So we'll give you permission to go ahead and get that and get the numbers back to us, and we'll do that, fine.
The next item is we're actually working with 5 new events for, 2017. It looks like we're going to be ahead of what we've had so far. The Esther Tow Truck Show, is booked to come back to Lake George. I know if Edna Frazier was here, her husband brought that show to Lake George for over 12 years, and they'll be coming back to the festival space. A reminder that the Clydesdales will be coming on August 18th, between 4 and 6 o'clock at the festival space, and we'll be working with a group from the New York City Fire Department for a law enforcement week, sometime perhaps in July, and also 2 other groups that are looking to book the festival space in October of 2017. The village has been working with the Lake George Association to begin a program of tours available to school children. We're trying to tie it into something very similar than like the floating classroom. Walt perhaps could just fill you in briefly on our ideas there.
We've been working with our education staff at the LGA. We already have an established floating classroom program, and for those of you who are not familiar with that, we'd be happy to do a presentation at some point. But at this point, we take all the students within the Lake George watershed out on the floating classroom and do a lake education program with them. And it's free of charge because we have grant support warrant that underwrites the cost of it. We charge a small amount for students outside of the watershed, so try to get as many students out on Lake George as possible. Part of that program with some of the schools is to actually do a stream segment where they study a stream up at the Lake George Rec Center, and then they go out like a floating classroom and do some water chemistry and some hands-on experiments on the lake. And then usually around midday they switch, and the group that was upstream in the morning goes out in the classroom in the afternoon, and vice versa. What we're considering doing is adding an option of doing a wetlands tour in the wetland on the Charles R. Wood Park, the south parcel, and maybe even incorporating a walk through, depending on the age group, a walk through that children's adventure play area on the north parcel. So this is still in the development phases, but I think it'll be a nice addition to our program and also a nice way to bring people into the park and show them what's available now. It really hasn't been marketed or advertised as a nature trails and wetland walks and that sort of thing. So I think we're moving forward with that. We're pretty excited about it.
All right, that sounds good.
Yep. The skate park rules, Mr. Chairman, since we've opened the facility, we found that a great majority of the young people that have used the park not only have skateboards, but have BMX and bicycles and those little scooters. And so we've been observing very carefully the interaction between everyone that's there. A week ago, several of the young people that helped raise the money for the park came to the village and asked us if we would eliminate the prohibition against inline skates, BMX bikes and scooters. They felt that they should be allowed. They were all getting along well. Most of them have those devices. I checked with our insurance, NYMER. They said it would make no difference whatsoever in the rates. They'd be the same. And as a matter of fact, the experience across the country is no greater liability with those type of devices, particularly if you have a concrete skate park, which we have. There are some problems if there are ramps and wood involved with some of these devices, but they certainly would have no problem with it. So the village board has scheduled a public hearing for our next meeting the third weekend in July. The town of Lake George also adopted it, and I've advised Supervisor Dickinson to await our public hearing to see what the village board decides to do. And the county did not adopt any local law because we cover it, but I'll keep you posted. We would like to change it at the request of all the young people that have been using it, and it's been very heavily used, and there has not been a single incident at the park so far.
All right, so we'll leave it, we bring it back at the next meeting, how you guys meet now. Okay, very good. The last one is the banners and picnic tables.
Yeah, well, it's on for discussion, but I'm actually hoping for some approval. We, at the site, we have 3 slabs for picnic tables to be at. When it was originally built, there was nothing in the contract to supply the picnic tables, so I looked around and there are, steel picnic tables, similar to what you see at Martha's, but they're 8 foot long, and they're expanded metal epoxy coated. We can buy them off a Suffolk County contract. 3 of them are $2,700. For 3 of them, but it's something that we don't have to maintain once we put it out there. It's not like a wooden picnic table that we gotta worry about, so I'm hoping that we get that, and that's one and done. And then, the mayor would like to have banners put on the pillars at the entrance to Wood Park, that will say Charles R. Wood Park or Festival Space. The cost of those is $300 for a pair for those.
Those are on those 2 flagpoles, Jeff. We've already got the armatures on there.
The brackets are already there.
Some of the groups will buy their own, but when there isn't anything going, that would be a perfect place to advertise the park and what they're looking at. And the village would obviously take care of putting them up and taking them down.
Now, those tables are $4,700?
$2,700, $2,700 for 3 of them.
Have you looked around, is that the best price you think we're gonna get?
Well, it's a county bid, Suffolk
County
County
bid.
we can purchase off of, so I'm sure.
And the
that's
funds,
what it's
where are the funds gonna come from, out of our?
If the committee wants to move to purchase those, we would, in the resolution, include, funding from the deferred revenue, funding source, and then it would be transferred into our contracts budget to
Yes,
reimburse.
to reimburse the village.
Go ahead.
That's a lot of money for a picnic table.
Well, it's a steel.
I understand that, but you can buy a wooden one and have somebody put it together for $100 from Curtis Lumber.
Right, but it's something that we're gonna have to maintain all the time. What I'm trying to do is not be maintaining these things all the time or having to replace the wood on them because someone carves in them. We have those issues all the time at the park. Someone will.
But you can buy 27 wooden tables.
Yeah, but I
That
gotta,
could
I gotta
last you
replace it
3 a year.
But Kevin, I gotta replace it 27 times.
Oh,
You know,
that's
that's
a
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
money, guys.
You put these out there, you don't replace them anymore.
I'm not even in favor of picnic tables, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they weren't included in the regular budget.
Mhm.
In our committee meetings that we had, once you introduce picnic tables to an area, you introduce a lot of other things. Litter, trash, all types of things. You've got a beautiful battleground park on one side of our park, and you've got another park on the other side of our park. And the reason slabs got there, I don't know why, but their slabs
Well,
are
there's a part
there.
of the contract.
But I never envisioned picnic tables, our committee never did. We thought maybe Adirondack chairs, which the village builds, we build them ourselves. And, you know, Dave is following through because we said, well, maybe picnic tables ought to be there, but I don't like the idea of picnic tables
Well,
in
I don't
that
mind
park.
picnic tables, but I don't like the idea of a $900 picnic table out in the Adirondacks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mr. Mayor, I have to agree with you. I mean, the more we put there, the more, we want people to come, but once you put 3 or 2, or you're gonna need more. I'd rather see the chairs personally. That'd be something nice spread out, let people sit and relax in the sun.
We got lots of those.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got lots of those.
So,
And it's
They're
in
already
a
in the park.
circle, so it's very easy to communicate.
Right.
And when you say carry in, carry out, that doesn't work.
that doesn't work, I know.
It doesn't work, and, it's nice to have the playground area and people walking through, and the festival area, and the restrooms are there. Skate park is right here, but, I'm very skeptical about introducing a picnic area into that park as opposed to the maintenance that we're gonna have to take care of.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and Evelyn, how do you feel?
I'd rather see the Adirondack chairs.
Yeah, I think we'd rather see, you know, Adirondack chairs, because if you put a picnic table, it pertains loitering, a lot of, you know, you're gonna get that, and I'm going through that in my town. We put picnic tables out, and it's just, people hang around until 9, 10 o'clock at night on picnic tables, so.
Probably picnic.
Yeah, they're not picnic. Well, I mean, is that the consensus now? Can we just not go ahead with those tables and look into just getting more, you know, it's just a couple of nice Adirondack chairs so people can just sit in the sun and not feel that they can sit there all day and have lunch and dinner at the same time. Is that agreeable? All right, so we'll drop that, we'll go into the,
Yeah,
see
you wanna
what we can
include
do for
the
Val.
banners? We
Yeah,
still have the
all
banners
right.
to-
How about, what else is there? The banners.
They're $300 for.
Make a motion,
You make a motion for banners, second, Ms. Wood. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passed.
What are the hours?
The last item is, Jeff, is the change order, for the electrical, and perhaps you could, or Dave could explain that. I'd like to see it approved and then us negotiate with Alon for the cost. If we don't approve it, the sign's coming in 2 weeks. We may not have an electrical outlet.
Yeah, I don't, this hasn't been discussed in committee yet, but there was a problem with, the design included the contractor installing the new LED sign and connecting to an existing electrical, box. In the design, it stated that there was electric at the box for the contractor to connect to. Turns out there was not electrical at the box. So, the additional cost was
$880.
$880. When I last talked to, David about it, I asked what Alon's position was because it was a concern that was brought up prior to it going out to bid. And they confirmed that in fact there was power there. Turns out there wasn't power there. So that was my concern would be that Alon would even, I guess my thought was Alon would be taking care of this. If it was a county contract, that's what would be happening.
Yeah, and they just haven't gotten back to us, and I just would like the, committee to move the change order along so we can actually get the sign in.
And we'd like
And then
to-
we'll fully meet with Alon
And then you'll work it out with Alon?
I think we can negotiate with Alon, yes, as Jeff mentioned. But by holding up approval of the change order, signs will be arriving in 2 weeks and there won't be any power there,
Yeah.
which will be a shame because we've got some events coming in, obviously.
All right, and I mean, that's not what he just, any reason why the electric isn't there?
It was an
Was
error.
it paid for, or an
It was
error?
an error.
So it was paid for already under a contract?
No,
No, it wasn't.
No.
Yes.
The problem is the electric existed at one location, and the plans and specs that were put together identified it as existing further or closer to the sign than it was. So that was, an omission, and they've actually gotta run the power from where power exists to the spot where they thought it existed.
All right. Well, I mean, if everybody, I agree we should do it, because you're gonna get the sign in, and there's no sense of, battle out with Elon and, on
I
a
don't think
payment.
there's any question it was an omission on their part or someone's, yeah.
Okay.
I'd just like to be able to move ahead, get the work done, so when the sign arrives,
We can plug it in, okay. Evelyn, you okay with that?
Hesitantly. I'm a
Yeah.
little concerned we're gonna pay for it, and Alon's gonna decide they don't wanna pay for it, and we're gonna
Well,
be stuck with the bill.
We'll build a village, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we won't pay, we won't pay.
That would be,
We won't pay.
I think we could work it out with Alon somehow.
I'm
They're-
sure.
They're pretty flexible. I mean, they've been pretty good to us over the years. All right, so all in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Passed.
Mary's got one.
Mary, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We actually have another easement issue, and Matt Fuller is here to answer any questions, just because I'm not fully aware of all the issues with it. Pertaining to the same easement that we just talked about with the 3 E's in the village and the town and the county, I guess there was a state grant, and in order to get this grant, the state is asking for an easement over the current conservation easement, and that's about all I know about it, so.
Sure. Yeah, if I could, Matt Fuller, Mary hit it right on the head. Actually, this has been lingering for a few years. It sat on Martin's desk for a little while, and I bugged him every 6 or 10 months about it, when Walt bugged me about it. But, we tried to get around this, dealing with the state by having the state take a partial assignment from the 3 E's, for our conservation easement, that we benefit from, and Parks and Rec wouldn't let that happen, so, the idea is, and I frankly, I think it's not needed. I think it's the state being the state, somebody with a checkbox that says, to get your check, we need this document filed. So, going back and forth with them with quite a bit of draft versions, they're using their standard conservation easement, so it is a New York State standard conservation easement. But what I did is, I limited it to the south parcel. So, the legal description, and I know Mary had reached out to me, there was some question about, is this gonna hold us up on things we wanna do with the festival space or anything like that? And the answer is no. I can send this back over to Mary too in an email, but I brought up the markup copy, with me again. The Exhibit A, Exhibit A like to a deed, the legal description of the property, and I did bring, I know the county attorney's office has one of these too, but the binder from when we originally did the whole purchase of the project, there's some maps in there, so if anybody wanted to compare the legal description, that is on these maps, this legal description came from Chazen. So Chazen took the legal description on, it's Exhibit C, that you'll find in the binder, and I won't bother the committee to go and read it, but if you follow the 3rd map in this package, there's 3 maps, the legal description goes right around that south parcel. So the proposal is to give the state what they want, so that we can get reimbursed. It's $300,000, so it's no small amount of money. I think, certainly the LGA and the fund and everybody would like to see that money come back. Believe it or not, this grant's been hanging around since 2007. So we've held them off, and I'm a little surprised that the money's still sitting there, but if we get all our ducks in a row, we'll be able to do that. So what I can tell you is, again, I have to come through the county attorney's office, but this legal description does not impact the festival space or the rest of the project at all. And again, from my standpoint, is it another layer on top? Yes. So if we went to build something on the south parcel, you know, where the environmental project is, would we need their sign off? Yes, we would. So if we tried to build something out there on that south space, we'd have to go to Parks and Rec. But I don't think that's the vision, and frankly, it's not even the vision in the CE that's there now. So aside from dealing with New York State, we'd also have to change the CE that we've got in place now, which is its own host of legal issues, you know, going back to the original grant. In short, I don't know that we would be able to do that without going back to the Wood Foundation, and again, I think it just creates a nightmare if we ever went to do anything on the south parcel other than what we agreed to. So that's really it in a nutshell. Again, it's, you know, I honestly, I thought, and Will can probably attest to this too, that the state might have balked when I sent this back, because the original version that they gave me wanted the legal description for the project. So this is what I gave them. I gave them the south parcel, and I actually called that out in a letter, so that they knew that there was no bait and switch trying to go on here, that their project, their grant, was only to the environmental benefit project itself on the south parcel. So that's really what we're trying to do. And actually, the village approved it a couple of years ago, and the mayor signed it.
All right, so Walt, you're in favor of that, and Mayor, I guess you are. Just so you know, I just don't wanna put the county in any spot 5 years from now, and they say you passed that, and, so everything won't affect the county part
Does
of
not
this
affect
property.
anything north of the brook.
Mary
Like-
just needs to check.
Yeah, Mary will.
I just wanna check the legal description.
You're gonna check the legal, okay.
And Mary, if you
Got a
guys
motion
can-
to move that?
Approve it pending approval of the legal
Okay.
description.
Second, Mr. Mayor. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll pass that. I'm gonna open the floor, discussion. Anything from the floor that might wanna come up? We're really late, so, the only comment, Mr. Mayor, how'd it go this weekend on Festival Space?
Very successful.
I heard some people that stayed at my place were very happy with it. The only problem they had, it was too hot. But,
Nothing we can do about
no
that.
shade, we gotta put a dome over it, maybe.
We can't afford picnic tables, we can't afford a dome.
All right, a motion
Pretty
adjourned.
simple.
Thank you all, we're adjourned.
Yeah, lots of cold water. Well, lots of wine.
It was that too.
Lots of wine.